Pixel 11 Pro XL. So a couple days ago, and look, if you could not tell by now, this leak is all planned, right? We we got the Pixel 11 on Tuesday. Like, wow. We got the Pixel 11 Pro on Wednesday, and we were like, wow. And now we get the Pixel 11 Pro XL on Thursday. Wow. I mean, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the angle Google's hitting us with, and I agree. I think if I was in charge of the Pixel brand department in Google, I think his name, I just remembered it. It's Rick Osterlock. He's a Google employee that's in charge of the entire Pixel department or umbrella. Right? I think if I was in charge of Google, I can't say I would do anything different. Now, I'm talking about in terms of, I guess I would have to be in charge of the marketing department, PR department. But as far as releasing this, right, they did it right in between the S26 Ultra and the Nothing Phone 4a Pro. Now, Google will easily outsell the Nothing Phone 4a Pro. They obviously will not outsell the S26 Ultra, but they want to remind people that are kind of holding out or kind of on the fence in regards to not really knowing which one to get, or damn, this really didn't seem like much of an upgrade going from the S25 Ultra to the S26 Ultra. So maybe I'm just going to wait, see what else is around. Well, that's where Google steps in. Google's like, well, hello, we're coming out with a new device here in a few months, and we will always be an option for you, is what Google is essentially saying. And again, I don't blame them. Rolling them out one at a time, one leak per day, is a decent strategy. And look, I've said it before, and I'm sure you've heard me. I'll say it again. I think this is a fantastic looking phone. Absolutely beautiful. Let me scroll it up a little bit so you can get a good picture of it. Not like you haven't seen this before, right? Now, I did notice one change just right now before I went live. I did notice something on this Pixel 11 that looks different from the Pixel 10 series and Pixel 9 series. I'm going to pull up another image. Can you tell what it is? So can I expand this? There we go. That's probably the best angle to see the change. I'm not sure if you can, but actually I take that back. I see two right now. And these are two changes that I was desperately hoping they would make. And it looks like it's going to come to fruition. So the first change, and it has to do with aesthetics, the way it looks. The first change that I see is the camera island. Now, I know they don't have that half moon on there on the right side of the camera where the flash is. I know that's changed. Just all glass now. No little metal half moon. It's all glass. We know that. We discussed that on Tuesday when the Pixel 11 came out. However, I think this looks fantastic. Look at the camera island and look at the vertical camera island. So on old Pixels, not old Pixels, but on previous series, the camera island that goes up. So if this was the check this out. So if this is the camera island right here on it, pretend this is a Pixel right here, not this top part, but the part that's on the side, the border of the island. On the Pixel 10 and Pixel 9, the border of that island was a silver color. It was kind of silver like this. Now, Google, it appears, is going to color match whatever color your Pixel is. If you have a blue Pixel, you're going to have a blue camera island border. Not a huge change, and it took me a little while looking at it to see that change, but just that little touch, I think, adds something a little different, makes that color pop just a little more. And the border of the phone. One thing I've always hated on Pixel, and y'all know I love them, but the borders of the base model, Pixel, so not the Pro, not the XL, not the Fold, but the the base model, the border of the phone was always color matched to whatever color of phone that was, right? If it was the blue Pixel 10, just a base model, it had a blue border, a blue mid frame. They color matched it. Well, on the Pros and the Pro XLs, they had a chrome silver border, right? Real shiny. It looks like a chrome wheel from a vehicle, kind of like a mirror. It was real shiny, no matter what color you got. Now, it might be slightly tinted, right? Like the Moonstone. Actually, the Moonstone is a full silver color. I think the yellow or the hazel version on the Pixel 10, no, Pixel 9 series was a slight tint, but it was still very shiny, still very shimmering, chrome type of border. This year, they're going to move to color match whatever the phone is of that border. So you can see here on the Pixel 11 Pro XL, it's a blue Pixel. Well, guess what? It's going to have a blue border, a blue mid frame. Now, maybe nitpicking here, or I think it looks fantastic. I've always wanted them to do that. Now, I've never thought they would make that change. But look, they're really not changing the look and feel and style of the phone. Minus, I think just removing that half moon on the camera bar makes a big difference. I think color matching on some of the accents around the phone make a big difference. Just the way it looks, right? They can't release a carbon copy. And a lot of times what Apple will do is, if they're putting, Lord knows Apple's been putting out the same iPhone for 7 years. Like, Apple is notorious for essentially putting out the same phone, but moving like a power button down 0.3 inches or moving the volume rocker up 0.25 inches, just enough to where you have to buy all new cases and accessories again, right? Pain in the ass. They nickel and dime you to death. Now, from what I can tell, the volume buttons are the same, the power buttons the same, and we won't really know until we get the phones. But I'm glad they're making these little changes. I think it's a beautiful looking phone, and I'm glad they didn't just drastically change it or attempt to do something that messes up the way it looks. So, look, spec-wise, you're gonna get spec-wise. We know what the Pixel 11 Pro XL is going to come with, and it's probably going to share the same specifications that the Pixel 11 Pro is going to have. Obviously, bigger battery, obviously bigger display. And one thing that I wish they did not differentiate between the models is faster charging. So the Pixel 11 Pro XL, I think, is going to remain at 45 watts charging, which is a lot faster than the Pixel 11 Pro, which should be at about 35 watts. You say, well, it's only 10-15 watt difference. It makes a big difference. The Pro XL charges a lot faster. We just got a Pixel 10 Pro XL just here a couple weeks ago. Charges a lot faster. So if you like faster charging, bigger, more beautiful displays, longer battery life, the Pro XL is where it's at. And I think I'm going to get the XL this year. I got the Pro, Pixel 10 Pro Moonstone. The bigger one just looks and feels more premium. I don't know what it is. Same material, same phone, same look, same feel. They're heavy though. But the Pro XL looks, looks more premium. You're going to get the Tensor G6. I'm not going to go there. We all know what that means. They're going with a new GPU from Immortals Power VR GPU. Hopefully they'll get it under control this time. I don't have much faith, but we'll see. Unfortunately, it looks like the 200 charging cycle limit is still going to be put in place. I wish they would make it optional, but they don't. And you're still going to get a fantastic camera experience with this device. It'll be fantastic. So if you're looking for a nice, big premium phone, I think Google will not. If you're not real spec heavy, meaning if you can't, if you don't have to have the absolute most spec'd out phone, and you're okay with just using your phone for taking pictures and videos and a good user experience, Pixel is where it's at. So this should be a good device. It gets released in August, right around mid-August. So Jasper Edwards says Google already said that they aren't going to change the design of the next few Pixel phones very much. They did, and they also said yesterday. I'm not sure if you watched yesterday's stream. This might be, now of course we don't know. This might be the last Pixel with this look and feel, because a few years ago, the Rick Osterlock, he said that they look to change their design every few years, every 2 to 3 years. This is the third year that Google has this design language. So technically, from what he said, I can see them changing a design now on the Pixel 12 series. Now, what they would change it to, I have no idea. I don't know how you can get a better looking smartphone than that. I mean, say what you want. It's certainly unique. Even if you don't like it, I think we can all admit it's unique. I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks fantastic. I don't know what much more you can do to this design, and again, we'll just have to wait and see. But these will be released in mid-August, and I think they look fantastic. It's almost like one of those things where they really hit it on design. Like, I'm sure the design team is like, whoa, we did it with this one. And that was a couple years ago with the Pixel 9 series, right? I don't know. I bet twiddling their fingers like, well, maybe we can sit on this for another year or two. They don't have to change anything. Now, I definitely don't want them to go in the Apple route where they sit on one design for 7 freaking years. But I would be okay maybe 1 more year on this design. But after a while, it's like, it's kind of getting old. But on the other hand, if every year, if they beat their sales from every other release, every other year that goes by, they sell more and more and more, they wouldn't be enticed to change their design. It's not like sales just dropped off a cliff and they're like, well, we have to do something to garner attention and try to generate sales, right? No, it's like Apple. It's probably why Apple stayed on the iPhone design for 7 years, is because every freaking year they beat the sales from the previous year. So Apple's like, why do we need to change anything? If it's not broken, don't fix it. I kind of think Google's on the same path. Every year their market share increases. I will have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. I'd like the heft of the Pixel 10 series. It's a heavy phone. The Galaxy S23 series feels too light for me. Feels more like a cheap mid-range device rather than a flagship. I agree. I picked up the Pixel 10 Pro XL we had a couple days ago to plug it in, and I was like, whoa, this thing is heavy as hell. It feels like a brick. But do get the premium feel. And I think that's why you've seen Samsung go to a more lighter phone, right? You've seen nothing really hasn't gone all in on the weight, but you've seen Samsung ever since the Edge came out. They're trying to make their things. Ever since the S25 Edge came out, you see Samsung try to make their phones thinner and lighter, and Google's not doing that, right? I think it makes a difference. I can certainly tell, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I felt that same way picking up the Pixel 10 Pro XL just a couple days ago. I was like, it's heavy, but it's a good heavy. Like, it feels like you got a good hefty piece of technology here, you know? I like it. So I know there's mixed emotions or mixed feelings with Pixel. Some love them, some hate them, but I like them. I really do. So it just, I find myself criticizing Google a lot. And viewers of this channel knows I have a strong dislike for that 200 charging cycle limit, where after 200 charging cycles, they bump the battery capacity down to 80% and they cut your charging in half. It took last week, I don't even use my Pixel anymore. It took me almost 2 hours. It was like an hour and 48 minutes to charge a Pixel 10 Pro. An hour and 48 minutes. So they need to make it optional in the settings. Whatever. I'm not gonna. I'm getting worked up. I'm gonna move on before I get too worked up. Okay. So we will keep an eye on the Pixel 11 series, and it's just right around the corner. So we will certainly keep an eye on it for you. Now, let me do this.